A new love enters your life, but is it too good to be true? On today's Oberon Divination. Greetings everyone, I am Oberon, Lord of the Underworld and consort to the most lovely Hecate. Thank you for joining me on today's Elemental Synastry reading. It is a divination technique given to me by the goddess upon our sacred marriage. It involves the tarot, the 5 elements, and astrology. Now this is a timeless collective reading, so take what resonates and discard what doesn't. And as always, make sure that tarot confirms what you already intuitively know, and do not take it as literal advice. And if you are a new viewer, I welcome you and thank you for joining us. And for all the returning viewers, thank you for your continued support. You are all much appreciated. So what I do is I draw a tarot card to see what is influencing each of the elements. And the first element is the element of spirit, which is represented by the bell. And we pulled the Judgment card. Okay, so Judgment is represented by the planet Pluto. And it definitely represents some major changes and major transformations coming into our life. This is a year of great transformation. It's a lot of changes for a lot of us, and the fact that it's represented in spirit really means that we're having a lot of things come to us. It's going to be the overall tone of the reading, and yeah, it feels really good. I'm feeling sort of it's a positive change. You know, a lot of times we look on, let's say, things related to either Scorpio or Pluto or the underworld, and it kind of has this dark connotation. But in this particular instance, especially with it coming in from spirit, it feels more like a positive change. It feels more like a rebirth, and we're headed into new territory. We're headed into something which is going to be very beneficial for us. Something that is there's actually a lot of anticipation around it. I think for many of us, especially coming out of the year of the snake, we just want to shed that old skin of the past. We just want to move on, live our best lives, and really it's quite nice that this is summed up with this card. Okay, so let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. Now, the astrology die can represent either advice or likely outcomes, and yeah, what we have here is Pluto in the 7th house in Taurus. Wow, okay. So I roll once for the house, and I roll a second time for the decan. Oops, that was a 1 there that I saw. So we're in the first decan of Taurus, and okay, let me line this up really quick. Wow, that is excuse me for a moment. That's quite a powerful message. So that first decan in Taurus is that 5 of Pentacles energy. It's that feeling of when we're left down and out, and we could have felt impoverished. And what's interesting is that this is also in the 7th house, which is the house of Libra, where it's ruled by Libra, and it has to deal with our relationships in particular. It can also mean people that we view on an equal footing as well. But for this, yeah, with all the Plutonian energy, it feels like, it definitely feels like shedding an old relationship, shedding a relationship which no longer serves us. And yeah, we have Pluto represented twice, both in the Judgment card and both in the astrology die. Quite a powerful message of transition. So when it's combined with that first decan of Taurus, the Lord of Material Trouble, well, that's what it's called, but it can mean a lot of different things. But when it's combined with that, when we felt impoverished, what it's saying is that feeling of poverty in our interpersonal relationships, in our marriage, in whatever it is, we're going to feel that come to an end. Maybe, if we're still in that relationship, maybe there'll be new things happening which will sort of breathe life back into it. And it can also represent perhaps moving on from that particular relationship. Or if we're not in a relationship, it means that we are going to meet someone that will make us feel uplifted, that will take away that energetic poverty that we've been feeling. This feels like it definitely feels like whatever sort of dry spell or whatever that we've been feeling lacking in our relationships, that is going to change. It's going to definitely take a turn. It's going to, we're going to feel abundant. We're going to feel fulfilled. We're going to have that relationship that we always dreamed of, so to speak. I never really get into love readings that much, but this seems to be it's just kind of like blaring, it's blaring out its message. It's just shouting it loud. It's saying, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. There's really kind of no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it definitely feels like some type of a relationship, either a new relationship or rekindling of an old one, or maybe some kind of dry spell is over. Just with that Pluto coming in twice, and it's really that the message is very strong, that that major transformation is coming. Excellent. All right. Well, let's go on to the element of fire. The element of fire can represent our drives, ambitions, and our desires, and I would definitely say it'd probably be our desire, since the spirit is revolving around a relationship issue. So let's see, what does the element of fire have to say, or what tarot card is influencing fire? Okay. Wow. Inverted Ten of Swords. Okay, so I mean, just as in the element of spirit, we have the inverted Ten of Swords in the element of fire, and that means that the worst is over. Whatever we've been going through, whatever has been happening, that is over. So when it comes to, and like I said, I mean, I'm kind of sensing, the element of fire could mean a couple of different things, but with it being a relationship and a love reading, it's definitely has more to deal with our desires. So the worst is over with what we've been experiencing. Perhaps we've been in very unfulfilling relationships. Perhaps we have been we've been dimming our light to sort of keep the peace in our relationships. And this is saying, no, you're going to have that fire again. You are going to feel fulfilled. You are going to feel valued, and there's no turning back on this. It's a very, very clear message. A lot of times when I do these readings, they're a little bit ambiguous. It can mean a couple of different things, but for this is like I said, this is going loud and proud. There's no ambiguity to it. It's saying, you are going to meet that person that makes you feel alive. You are going to meet that person that you will feel passionate towards. There's going to be that spark. There's going to be that deep love. And so far it's quite a beautiful reading and quite an optimistic reading. Okay, let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. Okay, so we have the South Node in Capricorn in the 9th house. Okay, very interesting. All right, let's roll for the decan. Okay, first decan of Capricorn. Okay, so what I'm getting from this, with that South Node coming into play with that first decan of Capricorn, it's that Two of Pentacles energy. And what it feels like is that in the past we were juggling so many things, and also with it being in the 9th house of Sagittarius. Yeah, perhaps. Okay, it feels like, we wanted to have that deeper connection. We wanted to have so many things in our past, but that person that we were with was not quite there. That person that we were with was not who we thought they were. We were probably projecting a lot of our shadow onto them. We were probably, turning them into something which they probably weren't. And that's why, we kind of have a lot of that Two of Pentacles. It's kind of like trying to keep its balance, but it's always just kind of teetering. And of course, with that being related to the South Node, it really points to a lot of the past. So yeah, those past relationships, whatever we were feeling, part of the reason of why the worst is over with this inverted 10 of Swords is that we're letting a lot of those energies go. We're letting a lot of that South Node energy go. It's suggesting to be a bit more open-minded and spontaneous in how we view another person coming in. Try not to pigeonhole them into something. Try not to pin them down into your own ideals of what they should be. The worst will be over when we can learn to see them as they are, when we can learn to just take it as it comes. If we try and really kind of put them back into the box of the past, well then, that 10 of Swords energy is not really going to be it's not really going to be so liberating, because we're going to be repeating the patterns of the past. So this is a stark warning to say that, yes, even though we may have all this passion, we may have all this transformation in our relationships, to not be so hung up on the past, to not follow those old preconceived notions of what we think a relationship should be. This is probably going to suggest something as well, that whoever comes into our life might be someone that we may not necessarily be quote unquote our type. It could be something more along the lines of, maybe we would never even expect to go out with a person or date a person like that. But pretty much that's that's going to be the person that will help us to really come out of our South Node in terms of our relationships. That South Node, it definitely suggests a lot of shadow projection. It suggests a lot of animus type of energy. People sort of people that come into our lives that are more playing out our unconscious patterns, as opposed to being able to see a person for who they really are. So that seems to be the lesson of fire. The worst is over as long as we can live in the present and really appreciate the person coming into our life for who they are, and not necessarily our projection of them. Okay, let's move along to the next element, the element of air. And let's see what tarot card is influencing the element of air. All right, inverted Knight of Swords. Wow, a lot of air energy there. And yeah, so air generally represents our intellectual capacities, or our intellectual studies, our communication, our logic and reason. These are the things which involve air. And that inverted Knight of Swords, yeah, it could it could suggest that there could be some trouble. There could be some rocky, like maybe a rocky path, or maybe some rocky waters. Maybe it's possible that yeah, and this is sort of like a quick exit too. So it would suggest that, perhaps we really need to start discarding a lot of our old habits as well, a lot of our old communicative habits, perhaps even finding new ways in which we are branching out and reaching out to others. I don't necessarily get the feeling that this has to deal with a person coming in. I think it has to deal more, again, like with this card, with the element of fire, it has to deal more with our own preconceived notions. So just as in we need to keep an open mind about who can possibly be coming into our life, we also need to keep an open mind about how we communicate. And perhaps we need to discard those things which no longer serve us, especially when it comes to the element of air. This could also mean that, when this sort of unorthodox person that comes into our lives, when they are there, we could also be kind of second guessing ourselves. We could kind of be overanalyzing, overthinking things, perhaps even creating problems where there doesn't need to be problems. And yeah, it's really suggesting to again, be on the lookout for that, and really, don't be afraid to go into uncharted waters with what this is suggesting. Okay, let's roll the astrology die and see what it has to say. Another South Node. Okay, so we have South Node in Virgo in the first house. Wow. Okay, so that makes a fair amount of sense. Okay, let's re-roll for the decan. All right, so we are in. Wow. Okay, we're in the third decan of Virgo. That's the Lord of Wealth. That's that Ten of Pentacles energy. Yeah. All right. So I'm kind of getting a couple of things for this. It could be that, on one hand, we're kind of comparing whoever is coming into our life in the future. We're kind of comparing them to a past relationship that we've had, and we could have thought that the person that we were with, that our ex might be this Ten of Pentacles energy. We could also have a habit of kind of pedestalizing them, but the bottom line is that if they were that person, then they'd still be in our lives, but they're not. And with that south node, it also again points back to the past. Another thing too, since it's in the first house, which is the house ruled by Aries, is that perhaps, is that also, we have an abundance of all this sort of, let's say, I guess you could say, wealth and knowledge within us, and that is also what is causing us to sort of second guess ourselves. We are, Virgo's a perfectionist, so we could probably think, okay, well, we have all these things within us. We have, and we just want that perfect person. And really, that also contributes to that Knight of Swords energy, that inverted Knight of Swords. And really what's happening there is that we could be talking ourselves out of a situation. We could be filled with all this knowledge, all these facts, all these statistics, and all of these things that is really keeping us from just, again, taking a look at that person who's coming into our life and just being able to appreciate them for being them. So again, let's be careful about not overthinking this, not overanalyzing this. This is South Node energy, and the whole point of South Node energy is to basically move on from it. That's our karma. South Node energy teaches us where we've been. It teaches us the lessons that we've learned, but at the same time, it's also the past. And so, even though we have this wealth of knowledge, and we have, we may think that we have, arrived within ourselves, we still need to be humble enough to accept the situation for what it is, and not be too picky, not be too choosy. Or at least not be so picky and choosy to the point to where no one else has a chance, because we are so stuck in the past. So that seems to be the warning of that, and as long as we can do that, then we'll see a huge transformation in what's eventually coming to us. Okay, let's move on to the next element. It is the element of Earth, which is represented by the Pentacle. It can represent our spiritual wealth, our material wealth, a lot of that foundation and stability. Okay. What is influencing the element of Earth, love? The Hierophant. Okay. Wow. So, the Hierophant also means marriage a lot of the times. So this could be a marriage reading for some. If not, it could also be. It could also represent a lot of. It could represent a long-term relationship as well. There's definitely a lot of stability. There's a lot of orthodoxy in combining the Hierophant with the element of Pentacles. This is going to be something that's going to build a foundation. This is going to be something that is going to be longer lasting. Something which, if you're not married, it could be a possible marriage. But whatever it is, it's going to be very committed to one another. And that's definitely what I'm getting from this. And again, it's really in the element of fire and the air. Don't second guess yourself. Don't try to read into it too much. Don't try to over rationalize it or be blindsided by who this person might be. Go with your intuition, go with your emotions and feelings, and really look at it from a practical perspective too, because from the element of Earth, it is definitely suggesting that this is something which is longer lasting. All right, let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. So we have the moon in Scorpio in the 9th house. Okay, wow. All right, let's re-roll for the decan. Okay. Let me adjust this real quick. Okay, so yeah, so what's happening here is that with that decan of Scorpio, that is the third decan of Scorpio. Wait, let's see. 1, 2, 4. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's the middle decan of Scorpio, not the third decan. So that is the, yeah, that's another another sort of romance reading into that as well. So that middle decan of Scorpio is the Lord of Pleasure. That's the 6 of Cups energy, and yes, it whatever is happening, this person is going to ignite feelings of feelings that you may feel like you've always known them, feelings of nostalgia, feelings of comfort and familiarity on a level which may be a bit overwhelming, because they'll have the feeling that they are the one for you, despite the sort of despite the element of air and fire. They will have that sense of familiarity, and of course, with it being in the element of earth, we have a lot of that strong stability and a lot of that foundation. And with it also being in the 9th house, this is sort of like a higher power type of energy. So this almost feels a bit like, for lack of a better term, it's like a match made in heaven type of thing. Even though this person may not be who you would normally choose, or who may not normally be your type or whatever, it still on so many other levels feels like that match made in heaven. And yeah, especially with that moon influence too, it means that on a deep emotional level, that is what your emotions and intuition is telling you. So yeah, let's move along. Let's see I'm very curious to see the last element, the element of water, which is represented by the cups. It represents our emotions and our intuition. And with everything else going, especially with that moon popping up in the element of earth, yeah, I'm very curious to see what water has to say. So, okay, what does water have to say? What's influencing water? Oof, okay. Inverted Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. What it could mean is that, even though this person may feel like it's a match made in heaven, with that inverted Wheel of Fortune, it means that on an emotional level, it could feel like something is delayed or something is blocked. Perhaps things feel so good that maybe we might be afraid to move faster. But whatever it is, there will be some sort of stagnation to it. And that's okay, because if it is meant to be a long-term commitment, then there should be no problem with some type of stagnation in it. Maybe there's going to be this sort of push and pull with wanting to get married so quick. This could be something that, like, you may feel that you might want to marry this person in a month or something. Something super fast like that. Take a trip out to Vegas to go get married over the weekend or something like that. There may be some kind of pull to that, but also at the same time, it's like, well, wait a minute, do I really know this person? How do, is this a good idea to really do? Or should we wait? So I'm thinking that's kind of what I'm getting from that on the emotional and intuitive level. So many things are going to pop in. There's going to be so much emotion, so much euphoria in it, that on a deep emotional level and perhaps also on an intuitive level, we got to say to ourselves, well, wait a minute. Let's slow things down a little bit. Let's take our time, because this is a major decision. All right, let's see what... Here, 1 second, let me get these cards out of the way. Let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. So, all right, so we have the moon in Libra in the second house. Wow, okay. And let's re-roll again for the decan. Okay, so we're in the first decan of Libra. Yeah, okay. A lot of Libra energy, a lot of lunar energy, a lot of emotions, a lot of everything here too. Okay, so that first decan of Libra is the Lord of Peace restored, but it's really a card. It's a Two of Swords energy. It's when we feel like we're at an impasse. And that card is also influenced by the moon. So on a deep emotional level, again, we may be feeling all these things, but emotionally, it would probably be prudent to put on the brakes, because things feel like they're going so well and so good that we may want to rush into it. But of course, with a decision like this, excuse me for a moment, with a decision like this, it's not really a wise decision to rush into, let's say, a lifelong commitment or to rush into a marriage. So, yeah, actually, all that really makes a lot of sense. It's basically saying, even with that Two of Swords energy, to really slow it down, and also with it being in the second house. It's also to remind us that, when we do decide to commit to someone, it is a merging of the finances many of the times too. And so, there's a lot of things which is putting on the brakes to this. We really got to think this through. The Wheel of Fortune is also... it also represents Saturn in astrology. So when that's inverted, Saturn is telling us something that maybe perhaps we didn't learn all the lessons yet. Maybe we need to take a while before this really begins to manifest. And that would make a lot of sense. It's saying to really watch your material gain, to watch your finances, to really think it through, and to really get that in order. Perhaps we could be, maybe on a financial level, it could feel like a bit of a rush, and yeah, that's exactly what that would be calling into question here. Is, don't rush it, enjoy it, and don't really get to the point to where you have to feel pressured to commit or to be married to be able to enjoy this relationship too. Just again, as we go back to the element of fire, that reading, what was it? It was just to take it for what it is, and again, to not overthink it, not over rationalize it. Just be able to enjoy it. Don't don't shadow project. Don't try and go back into the south node energies of those two elements where we are basically constructing a person in our mind who may or may not exist. Just take it for what it is. On a foundational level, there are a lot of things that is going for the reading. However, make sure that everything, even on an emotional level and an intuitive level, make sure everything is starting to line up before really sort of taking that plunge. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Not really seeing. Let's see. 150. Let's see. Actually, yeah, 30, 2150. Yeah, we have an in conjunction right here. And that would make a lot of sense. So we have an in conjunction between spirit and water. So that would also sort of reemphasize the need to really pay attention to sort of the more practical aspects of this. Don't worry about the stagnation. Yeah, we want that dramatic and immense change to come in, but also, be able to view it with some practicality. Be able to not get so caught up in the moment that we begin to lose ourselves and we start to go back into this energy, our south node energy, to where we become so head over heels that we begin to lose perspective. Let's see, what else do we have? Let me move that out of the way. Let's see. And again, wow, we have another in conjunction right there too. So let's see, so that would make a lot of sense. So we have an in conjunction between the element of earth and the element of air. And yeah, even though we may feel that this is a sort of match made in heaven on so many planes, on the earthly plane, there is still that in conjunction with the element of air, which is, we're kind of sort of second guessing ourselves. And so even though there's a lot going on in this reading, the fact that we have these two in conjunctions means that it definitely, from what I'm getting from it, is the whole fact that it could be it could feel a little bit rushed. And especially with those in conjunctions, we may find ourselves wanting to push a little bit too quick. So this would suggest to definitely take it a little bit easy with that, to get to the point to where, again, take it, enjoy it for what it is, enjoy it for the moment, and trust that eventually all those feelings will, I should say, the practical side of the relationship will also manifest if the right steps are taken, without the rush and without maybe the pressure of commitment. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm going to take this over to the extended. I'm going to be using some oracle decks to be able to get a little bit more clarification from this. Yeah, I have a couple of different oracle decks that I'm going to be using, and we'll see what else we can glean from it. If you're interested in that, then head on over to my Discord. The link is in the description. And I will be sure to assign you a role which will allow you to be able to view these extended readings. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and I hope that if you resonate with this, and please feel free to leave a comment and let us all know how you resonated with it. And thank you again for joining us on this reading, and may Hecate illuminate your path and guide you at the crossroads.